In 3, 2, 1. What's going on, folks? Welcome to 34 Questions. Tonight, I have a very special guest. Kara Fernstrom is in the building. How you doing, Kara?
I'm pretty good. And you nailed the pronunciation.
Awesome. I try. For the folks out there, welcome to 34 Questions. As I said, if you are unfamiliar with the flow of the show, we do some intro questions, some warm-up questions just to set the tone, throw in a couple of icebreakers as well. And after that, we'll jump into the main interview where you choose a number between 1 and 34. Sound good to you, Kara?
Sounds fantastic.
Well, my very first question for you is, how have you been? It's crazy times. I don't know when it's never crazy, but how have you been? You've been doing good. You've been doing great.
I love that the options are good or great. I think that overall I've been doing really, really well. I have some health issues that make it a little challenging sometimes, but emotionally, I've been fantastic.
That's awesome. I'm very happy to hear. Before we go any further, let's just get the icebreakers out of the way.
All right, I'm into it.
This first one is a spelling bee.
Ooh, yay.
One word spelling bee. And your word is going to be soliloquy.
Soliloquy. S-I-L-O. Wait. S-I-L-I-L-O-Q-U-E. Soliloquy.
I'm sorry. You have one more chance.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get it wrong the second time too. S-Y-L-I-L-O-Q-E.
Say that one more time.
S-Y-L-I-L-O-Q-E.
I'm sorry. It's like soliloquy, S-O.
Dang, I was thinking maybe S-O, and then I was like, no, but
It's all good. Thank you for participating.
No problem. I was like, sure, I was going to spell whatever it was right, and my mom's going to be disappointed, but that's all right.
You have one more chance to redeem yourself, and it's going to be with the riddle. How are you with riddles?
Bad.
Well, I'll try to throw you an underhanded pitch right now. This one is: I am an odd number. Take away one letter, and I become even. What number am I?
Oh, it's 7. It's 7.
You heard that one before? Or you
no,
just
but I just love words. I love like the nerdy, like, oh, you take away a letter. I know. What has even in it?
Easy money. For sure. Well, thank you for.
Are you proud of me now, Mom?
I'm sure she is.
Oh, she is. She is. I'm just joshing. She's fantastic and supportive as hell.
I gotcha. And shout out to the folks out there who are supportive. It's not everyone is as blessed. You feel me? I don't know in your experience, but it's such a blessing to have folks who do support the hustle, especially when it's not when it's against the grain sometimes.
I relate to that so much, and shout out to my folks too.
For sure. Moving on, we got some warm-up questions. The first warm-up question is, what would you like the audience to know about you?
Oh, I would like the audience to know that I'm excited to be here. Mostly is the main thing right now that's in my moment. So, but in general, I think just that I think that it's important to, figure out how to, like you're talking about, go against the grain, love yourself. That's kind of my whole shtick.
For sure.
So
my second question is, if someone were to pay you a tribute, how would you like to be honored? So if I was going to tell myself today I'm going to do something in the honor of Kara, what kind of act could I do? Bless you.
Thank you. Probably just an act of kindness, random act of kindness. Anything that would bring joy to someone without discretion.
I gotcha. Have you ever done one of those drive-through miracles?
I don't know what that is.
It's when you pay for the person behind you. So
yeah, I do that all the time. But I don't normally talk about it, and I feel awkward now.
Well, that's great that you do it all the time. I don't know too many people who do that. Yeah, I mean, I always think if I'm like adding a task to the person who's working, like, because now they have to kind of calculate like how much they're gonna charge. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think of it that way, because at least here they just pull up the charge like they would for the next person. So it's the same task, it's just slightly earlier.
Gotcha. Because normally what I would do is be like, oh yeah, use a change for the person behind me. So I
Yeah.
But I gotcha. Cool. And now we know to do an act of kindness in your honor. My third and final question of the warm-up is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well do you know yourself?
I mean, I'd like to say 9, but realistically, it's probably like 6. but I figure maybe 9. Optimistic.
But what makes you feel like a 9?
I just feel like, I mean, if I'm comparing myself to some of my peers, it seems like I just have a lot of experience with self-exploration, and not in like a weird way, but like a regular way. I'm very, I don't know, I do a lot of meditation and stuff, and that's kind of my,
For sure.
yeah, I think so. But then again, I'm always learning that, like, oh, I didn't know I hated that, or I didn't know I loved that, or whatever. So, you know, it could be a 6, but I like to think 9.
I feel it. What would you? Oh, first off, don't feel bad about being weird. I think we're all weird in our own ways. So yeah, just embrace it. And then, what is your favorite thing about your personality?
Oh, I would probably say my compassion. I mean, I like this question because I think often a lot more about what I don't like. So I like it. Yeah, I like my compassion probably above all of the other stuff, is and patience, sort of my ability to love people in spite of it being challenging sometimes.
Would you say you've always been compassionate, or was it something where you kind of had an epiphany and you were like, oh, I'm compassionate?
I think it's a combination. Like, I think that I was always compassionate, but I really struggled with loving myself. And so sometimes I would, do things selfishly, not realizing that doing things that were like self-sabotaging and hurtful to myself were also hurtful to the people that loved me, and stuff like that. So I've gotten better at like exercising it and practicing it. But I think that I've always kind of been that way, and like it's caused me a lot of hurt in the past because I didn't couple it very well with boundaries. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, yeah, sometimes our greatest strength is our greatest weakness, so much. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we made it to the main portion of the interview where you start choosing your numbers. There are 3 levels though. So there's an easy, medium, hard. You could go up and down whenever you'd like. Where would you like to start?
I'm gonna start with level 1.
For sure. No problem.
Because I thought the spelling bee would be easy, so I don't want to be like, oh, I can do number 7, no problem, or number 3.
It's all good.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah. Go for it. Choose your number.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with 1. I kind of have a number pattern in mind. I'm really excited.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It's my lottery numbers.
Are you the type to play the same numbers all the time? Or?
I wasn't. And then I read a Reddit post that was like, best way to win the lottery, and I was like, all right. And so I started.
It's the best way. One of the best ways is to choose the same numbers all the time.
Well, it was just talking about how you should do like numbers under 31 are most likely. Okay, so it had a lot to do with like cumulative energy. I know it sounds really silly, but like how the most people, like the most common numbers are the ones that are under 31, because that's associated with people's birthdays, right? Over 31, it can't be someone's birthday. And so it was just saying that, like, if you want to sort of, if it exists, if you want to harness the energy of many people wishing for the same numbers, you're most likely to have luck picking numbers under 31. because the most people would be picking numbers under 31. And so I just like picked a set.
I got you. I mean, that makes total sense, and it's a bummer that I can't. No energy for 34, but it's all good. It's all good. Go for it. Give me your first number.
1, please.
Oh, 1. Easy. How would you define success?
So honestly, I actually have thought about this question a lot in my life, and I have an answer for it. That is, I think that success is showing up for yourself. Things that are in your control is to me where success lies. Like I really try to focus on not defining my success by how I'm received by other people, or like, how many numbers, I have if I'm doing something that involves statistics or anything like, because I can't control it. So I would say that success is showing up for myself in a big way, keeping promises to myself, self-compassion, and happiness, like in the contentment sense.
Would you say you came to this definition like pretty recently, or is this something you kind of came across in the past? And how long have you had this definition in mind?
That's a really good question. And it's probably like it's pre my recent work, but not that recent, not that long ago. It kind of all came to a head when I realized that a lot of my difficulties, my challenges in life were coming from the definitions I was putting on things like enough, success, too much, things like that, where I was like, I had all these obscure definitions that were like a conglomeration of a bunch of things I'd been told and messed up thought processes and stuff. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to actively redefine those things and try to internalize it. And so that was probably 2 years ago.
For sure. And yeah, it sounds like it's just beginning in the next chapter of your journey. Having that mindset will probably bring you to places that probably haven't been available before.
Well, that's what's so cool is once I started defining success by what I can accomplish, the sort of external success started coming a lot easier because I wasn't trying to force it anymore. Not that I'm like, successful by everyone's measure, of course, but by the measures of what I like would have expected of myself, it's just incredible.
For sure. Would you say, I know we haven't really got into what you do for work or life or anything, but I'm going to just ask, did you ever see yourself becoming a podcaster or, having a show of your own?
I didn't think that was possible. Like, no, I didn't think any of it was possible. I also do design and art, and people like give me money to draw pictures, and like, it's like none of it sounds real, even now, even a year into podcasting and 2 years into the art, it all sounds fake.
For sure. That was something new I just learned. I didn't know about the art side as well. So it sounds like you're a creator. Mm-hmm. And have you always been a creator, even since childhood, or was there ever any signs that, okay, this mind is creative?
I think that like my whole life people would have defined me as creative, but like I remember it never crossed my mind that I could like work in creative fields. Like I've drawn since I was little, and I always liked acting, and I did stand-up comedy for a while, and like I've just kind of always been into performance arts and fine art. Well, I don't know if you call it fine arts. I mostly do cartoons, but like physical drawing type arts. And yeah, like so like I've always been into it, but I never like it was always just like a hobby, So it's trippy.
No doubt. No, I hear you. All right, go ahead and throw me another number.
7, please.
7. What change would you like to see in the world?
Ooh, I have an answer for this one too. The change that I'd most like to see in the world is for people to look inward. and look inward. I want to say better, but it's not quite the word that I mean. I mean, look inward with love in general. I might be naive. It's possible. But I think that if people were to look inward more and look at their own biases, look at their own struggles, be honest about where they're at, and, you know, learn things like boundaries, learn things like practicing compassion, I think that all the big problems would just slowly, naturally change. I think that a lot of the big systemic issues, and there's a lot of them, and they're freaking terrible. I think a lot of them just come from people hating themselves and then projecting that on other people.
I see. You think there's like a little bit of a shift or a push towards that way of thinking? Because it feels like it to me. Go ahead, go for it.
I do think like that. I do think that's happening, and it's really, really exciting. Like, especially being part of the space. So I realize that there's like some biases that come with that, because obviously I'm going to see a lot more of it between like just the fact that I'm putting myself in front of it, but also that there's this like cognitive thing. I can't remember the name of it, but it's I think it's a bias of some sort. But basically, once you see something, your brain's like, oh, I'm going to see that everywhere, right? And so I think part of it's that. But I like to think that there is a global consciousness shift happening. You know, I look at, I'm not sure what generation you are, but I look at Gen Z and I get so freaking happy because I'm a millennial, right? And I'm like, oh, they're so much better than us. They're so much happier and like better at talking about things. Well, when I say happier, I don't mean like experiencing joy all the time. I mean, they're more comfortable in their skin. And that makes me so happy, because that makes me think that like the next generation and the next generation, like it's just like a ball, and it's like, it's just going to keep getting bigger and and people are going to, I don't know. I just have so much hope for the world.
That's great. Because I don't think everybody has hope for the world at this point. I've had a lot of folks come on the show and say they wanted to tell the people in the future that they're sorry of how things are going right now, and we don't know what the consequences will be like. But you had touched on something, but I hate it when I have fleeting thoughts sometimes.
Well, if it helps, it's a sign that you're a good listener, because a lot of people hold on to thoughts and just like wait for their turn to talk. But people who are actively listening and like truly listening.
You had cut off at that last moment when you, but I think I got your message, and no worries. It was a little hiccup, but I mean, thank you. I never thought about it that way, honestly. I thought it was the other way around. I thought it meant I was a bad listener if I couldn't remember what I was thinking. So that makes me feel a little bit better.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. It's a neat little thing that I like to think about. Sorry, I'm very talkative. I don't mean to overtalk you.
This is all about you. It is not about me. So feel free to ramble on. I encourage people to just, go with it. This is who you are, and this is what it's all about. So don't worry about me. I try not to talk at all as much as possible, but I also like to have a conversation. So it's a balance. It's a balance. I'm gonna throw you a curveball right now. It's a question that I choose for you, and
nice.
It is a.
Can I know what number it is?
I might just go 7. I
just did 7.
Oh no, this is for the curveball. It's a fill in the blank. So you chose 1 and 7, right? Mm-hmm. If later on you choose another level, there's also a 1 and 7 for that level too.
Yes.
So yeah, it's all good. I did remember what I was going to talk about though. You mentioned about you mentioned about being a millennial, and I am 31, born in 1990. So I feel like I'm in the heart of it, in the thick of being a millennial. And yes, the Gen Z, I don't know, like it's weird to separate us by generations, right? Because I feel like we're all experiencing this world together. Mm-hmm. But I also understand Yeah, when you said they seem happier about being themselves, I don't know if I was just fortunate. Like, I'm from San Francisco, and you know, California is very liberal and very, very like, be you, do you. And I've had that messaging in like growing up from school and everything. So fortunately, I felt that way. And yes, I do agree. What's happening now is to a degree higher than it was before.
Yeah, like the whole world's becoming San Francisco.
in a way. No, I'm not trying to take credit for that. I'm not trying to say San Francisco the start of it. It's just my experience because I was living here. I see the stand-up comedian side now. Very subtle. But it's good. But yeah, these kids are. I'm hopeful because I think their minds are thinking about bigger things a lot earlier. Because the information is like capable, it's right in their hands, fingertips. Yeah, I mean, when I was 12, I don't think I was thinking about all the stuff that was going on. And I guess it took time. Like, the internet was still, I want to say young, but not where it's at now. But yeah, all right. The fill in the blank question for you is, I'm too old to blank.
That's such a good question. I'm too old. I can't think of anything I'm too old to do. I'm 31. I mean, you know, like is it okay to swear on this podcast?
Absolutely.
I'm too old to act like a bitch, you know? Like, I can't think of anything. Like, I don't really think that's, I mean, as contingent on, like, I don't think that there's much that matters about my age. If anything, getting older has opened me up to do a lot more, not less. I mean, like, my body doesn't love it when I like bungee jump or go like tree linking, but like, you know, it's fine. It's fine. At the end of the day, it's always worth it. So I don't think I'm too old for really anything except for like acting like a teenager.
I get it. And yeah, there's no wrong answer. And I feel you. Like, how alive is your child inside?
I think very, very alive. Like, I shit you not. I'm so happy that I can swear on the show, because I was like, ooh, I didn't ask that beforehand. But like, the other day sat in the grass trying to find a 4-leaf clover for like half an hour while the like adults all had a conversation. And so like, I feel like the inner child is very, very like loud in me.
I feel it. I still try to bounce off curbs, you know, like just do stuff like that.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. And you know, maybe you were talking about that cognitive thing about because you want to see it or you want to believe it, you see it more and more. Yeah, I don't know why. It just feels like I don't feel alone. I don't feel alone in like wanting to do those silly young stuff. And you know, a lot of the older folks that come on to my show, a lot of them say like, you know, I'm never gonna retire. I'm never gonna stop learning. I'm never gonna stop like doing other stuff. I'm always gonna be a kid, you know, kind of thing. I'm like, well, you know, if anything, if for the folks out there, if they're judging me and saying like, oh, why is he acting immature or young or whatever, it's like, I'd rather be on that side of the fence, you know, like I'd rather be feeling young. I'd rather be joking around or, I don't know, avoiding cracks because I don't want to break my mom's back, you know.
Well, yeah, like I'd rather be judged and happy than seen as perfect but be real sad, you know.
Before we jump back into the numbers, I did want to ask you about, I had spoken about how San Francisco was the start of this, you know, this new renaissance. But
that's not how I understood it. I like how you're just owning like the words I put in your mouth.
You know, I can take a joke. I can embrace it. I can roll with it. I've thought about doing comedy, but I think too much. I mean, I would overthink on stage or like trying to deliver stuff. That's why I'd rather just like.
That's why you practice. So like, sorry, I just quickly, that's why you practice. So like you write your set. I mean, the idea, it's like acting, right? Like you want it to appear as natural as possible. And there's like a level of funniness that you kind of have to employ when you inevitably mess up. But you write your set, you write the flow and everything so that it flows well. And then you practice so that once you get on stage, it's actually easier than podcasting because the way that I podcast and the way you podcast, where it's kind of done on the fly and not everything is like decided ahead of time. Then it's easier than that because you're really just like you're just, it's like when you like play music or skateboard or whatever you do and you practice a lot and then it's not work. It's like that. It's easier than podcasting in the sense that podcasting, you never really know what to expect. You just kind of jump on and hope that it goes well.
You hope the chemistry's there. You hope the flow is there. Yeah, I know what you mean. And that's interesting. I never thought about it that way. And I can see the problem for me is that I'm super duper duper lazy. just the thought of practice is terrifying.
Well, you can hold your friends hostage and make them listen to the same jokes over and over again. Everybody loves that.
The first thing I ever wanted to be was a rapper. So yeah, I used to lock my friends in and play the same songs over for them, or I would just tell them, listen to me rap real quick. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah, I'm that personality too, and they're like, okay, Kara.
Yeah, that was good. Like, thanks.
You did great. Now let's go do something else.
Thank you, supportive friends, as well, for not killing my dreams when you could have. All right, let's jump into some more numbers.
13.
Still level 1? Maybe
you pick a level.
Okay. I'm going level 2.
Nice.
This one's a little bit harder.
We'll see how I do.
It's heavy, so feel free to pass if you choose.
I probably won't.
But how have you disappointed yourself?
Oh, lots of ways. I mean, I don't consider myself a disappointment, but I have disappointed myself a lot in ignoring my intuition is really the biggest key factor every time I disappoint myself. I've not trusted myself and it's caused a lot of problems in my life, or at the very least, it's prolonged a lot of problems. Your little internal red flags go off and I'm like, oh, it's probably okay. Or putting other people's wants in front of my needs. That's happened a lot. And I've disappointed myself that way. But as far as like where I'm at in life right now, and this feels really fucking good to say, I love myself more than I'm disappointed overall. Like I can't think of like the further you get out from mistakes and issues, the further away you get from it, the more you can see that it's usually closer to neutral than it is to awful. Like even like I've been addicted to drugs. I've dealt with some shit, and at the end of the day, it's like those like terrible things are always pivotal in moving me forward some way. And it's often painful and shitty, but like 10 years out, you don't feel that pain anymore. You just learned the lesson. So I feel like that's a pretty comprehensive answer.
No, yeah. That was a great answer. I thank you for opening up. I know it's not always easy to, and I totally agree. The sense of things coming together, the puzzle completing itself, everything starting to make sense. I think that's an incredible feeling that I hope everybody gets to feel. And it's one of those things where it's great when it happens, but we also kind of know it's not the final thing. There could be something that happens in our lives that switches the puzzle all over again, and you have to kind of piece it back together. But these moments, we got to appreciate them. That's how we know that we had experienced a time where everything just didn't make sense, and now that we can see if it does. I know what you mean. It feels super extra good just to feel like you're doing kind of like one that you want to do, and it kind of feels like you're meant to do it. So
yeah, that sense of purpose is so huge.
Yeah. I mean, and the great thing about podcasting is that you can literally just do it yourself. You know, like it'd be great to get, you know, that backing and that the money and all that stuff, but at least for me, I keep thinking to myself, and like, you know, it keeps me grounded, keeps me going no matter what. Is that, you know, this for me is like community service, you know, having these conversations with people and helping them have this little time capsule of who they are in this moment. I just feel like it's my way of giving back. So even if it never becomes something where I'm taking it to the next level, like as long as I have a good day job, I feel like I'll be fine just doing this at night and stuff. So I don't know how it is for you. Do you feel like that balance in your life is kind of whole at the moment, or where are you with that?
I'm in a bit of a weird place with it, because like, so I agree that you can do it all by yourself, and although I'm a terrible editor, so my stuff's edited for me because I can't do it.
It's so much time consuming. Yeah, I know.
Well, and I also am just bad at it. And so like a friend of mine who's a sound engineer was like, you have to let me help you. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. Actually, he asked like 3 times before I said okay, because I have issues with pride sometimes. But so as far as like the work-life balance part of it goes, though, it depends on how you want to do it, right? So like the first like good 11 months, 10 months of podcasting, I was doing it all by myself and not really doing any kind of marketing, not really doing any cross promoting, anything. And then I don't know what happened, but I was like, I'm going to just like do it. I'm going to go for it. And like, I have a disability, so I don't have a day job, because every time I try to work, I end up like in the hospital or unable to get out of bed, which is fine. Like, I'm fine. You know, it's whatever. It's what it's. But anyways, so like it's actually been like a period in time where like I am seeing really good growth in my show. And I agree with you so much about like the community service feeling and like public service. Like it's really not about me. And that's one of the things that's really difficult, because it's like this weird dichotomy, because you have to, if you're promoting, you have to promote yourself and the personality, because that's the consistent part. But it's not really about me. It's about, for my show, it's about collecting like, you know, tools and ideas about well-being, right? And so, which I guess probably makes sense considering my tone the rest of the show. But so it's not about me, but then like I have to somehow come to terms with like promoting myself and my personality, which is super uncomfortable. And it's been like a crazy amount of work. And like, you know, like I've just finally a couple weeks ago was like, with the exception of this show, which is fantastic, and I'm really excited to be on the show, but I'm like, I'm not doing anything past 5 p.m. You know, I'm not doing anything before 9 a.m. because like, in spite of being disabled, I have a stronger will than I have body, right? So I'll overwork, and I do all of my own design, obviously, all of my like social media stuff, all of my scheduling, like a normal podcaster. But it's like a lot. It's a lot when you want it to be. Or it can be like you just press record and you press upload, right? It's kind of whatever you want it to be.
It starts with the content, right? Like you believe in your content, and then everything you start to get inspiration for everything else. Like how you're gonna, like for me, I don't know if you saw my pilot to what it looks like now, or just the structure, but that's what I enjoy about it. You know, it's like, I know it's never going to be perfect. And yeah, like doing everything yourself is a challenge, and it takes a long time to finish stuff. But a little bit of my history right before this, I tried to start a clothing brand, Hella Hungry. And I didn't have
such a California name. Sorry.
Like, I know that was just a comment, but I feel attacked a little bit now.
I know I really find California endearing, so you're good. You're good.
I am very Californian. But yeah, so one of my big mistakes then is not having a team. I was trying to, design, shoot, market, all that stuff, and I'm not good at all that stuff. I just like being creative, like I like talking. So especially marketing, oh my God, the self-promotion side, like, everybody struggles with that self-esteem, and I think that's why a lot of folks aren't, Instagram stars and stuff like that, because there's a capability, but because it's hard for us to kind of like put the shine on ourselves for whatever reason. Like I'm trying to figure that out, like, because I know I'm not the only one, but yeah, it's just why do you think that is? Why is it so hard to put the shine on ourselves?
I think that it probably has a lot to do with the narrative, at least in our society, because of course I'm not from other societies, so I can't really speak to theirs. But the focus that we have on false humility, the appearance of being selfless over actually being selfless, things like that. So I think that when we, shine a light on ourselves, it's not just in our heads. Like people judge us, and that's uncomfortable. And it also makes it really complicated when you're doing self-promotion, because you're trying to, accomplish getting people to like you. But self-promoting, it feels counterproductive, and it's just like, it's really complicated because of those narratives, I think. I think it has more to do with that even than self-esteem, although that also plays into it. Because there's a lot of days where I'm like, oh, why do you like me? Because I don't.
And then there's days where you're like, they like me. They really like me.
yeah. I'm like, I'm a bad bitch,
I hear you. Yeah, it is a trip. And I think that's one thing about Gen Z that's a little bit different, is that they are feeling themselves.
So good at it.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's because all my friends are doing it. They kind of have that thing where, like, I feel like in the classroom, there's more than one person that's like a TikToker, or like really, really doing them dances and it's like stuff that I can't do.
Well, and I think part of it too is like, there was a lot of criticism. I don't know if you remember 5 or 10 years, because I'm also 31, 5 or 10 years ago, about the whole participation trophies. Right. And like this weird complaint about giving kids too much self-esteem. Like, that's such a big problem. But, and I think that it's actually like probably born of that, because if you're raised to think that you have inherent value regardless of how well you do at random given tasks, it's a lot easier to show up for yourself and to show up for the world, I think.
For sure. And yeah, participation trophies, that is an interesting thing. And I mean, for me, I haven't really fleshed out my whole opinion about it. I'm trying to think it out now, since you brought up that point. But yes, I think it gives kids the confidence, right? And I don't think I have a problem with it, especially if you still got kids who are getting the first place trophy and the second place trophy, like that was one of the things, is I was like, oh, what about the first place and second place? They don't feel like it's special. Like, they still get the bigger trophy. Like, I remember participation trophies being like super small.
And I think, like, I mean, honestly, if I had to pick, I think it's better to reward all kids for participating, if you had to pick, which you don't, like you just mentioned. Yeah. But I think it's better to reward all kids for participating than pitting them against each other for social wins. Like, it's like fucking Survivor shit,
Super early too, like when they're developing.
like these 8-year-olds are gonna pin them against each other and see who wins, and then they'll have all the cred. Like, what the hell is that? That's so psychotic.
If it wasn't illegal, we'd probably be seeing like kids boxing each other.
yeah. Like, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I think that competition isn't always unhealthy, but I think that participation trophies aren't unhealthy either, personally.
I gotcha. There was another layer to that, and I forgot. But just a heads up, we have about 10-15 minutes left in the podcast. Wanted to thank you again for stopping by. I hope you're having fun. It seems like
I'm
it to
having
me.
so much fun.
I'm glad. I'm happy to hear. Go ahead and throw me another number.
Okay, so I've done 1, 7, 13, 9, please.
9.
Number 3. I want the hard one.
9, number 3. What do you feel like you've taken for granted?
Oh, that is a hard one. I think for the majority of my life, the answer to that is my privileges. Like I've really underappreciated how many privileges I have. Like even things like besides the obvious, being white, being born in a country with healthcare, like besides the obvious things like that, like even getting sick in a country with healthcare puts me at an advantage over my peers because I never have to worry about losing my job because the government, it's not enough to like live on, but the government will make sure my rent is paid because I'm sick, right? Privileges like that. And there's a lot of them, and I mean, there's also disadvantages. But for sure, I 100%, the thing I've taken for granted most in my life is just the vast number of opportunities and privileges that I for a long time assumed everyone had.
I gotcha. I don't want to come off as insensitive, but I do want to know your opinion. What is the correct term for a disability? If that's the right term or if it's another term?
Yeah, I think it's just disability.
Okay. Because, I feel like maybe America's a little too PC. I don't know. I'm not sure.
What are people in America saying? Differently abled?
Yeah, just different phrases. I feel like disability has been one of those, we're not saying that anymore.
What's really interesting about that? I'm going to lean back and get really into that.
Tell me.
So what's really interesting about that is that like from a linguistic perspective, it's such nonsense because the thing is they keep changing words and it's not all words, and of course there's some words that are obviously offensive, so I'm not talking about those, but they keep changing words. And since it's Pride Month, I'll use the word gay. I'm also like bi, if that's relevant. I don't know, it's Pride Month, happy Pride. But I'll use the word gay, or actually gay is a terrible example. That's a terrible example. I'll use the R word. Okay. So referring to the R word, back when we were kids, everybody was using that word all the time. And then it became handicapped and it became something else and something else and something else. And it's just this like perpetual cycle because the problem was never the word. The problem was the way that people use the word. The problem was that people are equating this condition or situation with being bad or lesser. And so they change the word, but it's just nonsense. Like it doesn't matter how many times you change the word. If you focus that same energy on changing people's perceptions of people with disabilities and stopped worrying about what fucking word someone's using, we might actually get somewhere, because changing, like making the R word not allowed doesn't help disabled people to feel less isolated and alienated. Sorry, a little grandstandy there. I like to, stand here on my soapbox occasionally.
No, for sure. Thank you for your perspective on it. And that's the thing, like, I don't get a chance to ask these questions too often because there's never a time and place. I can't just ask someone at the bar like, hey man, what do you think about
this word?
Well,
it's one of the things that's really challenging in today's social climate is there's this just one second, sorry. There's this weird narrative, and it really reminds me of my religious upbringing, where the worst thing you can do is ask questions. The worst thing you can do is try to understand some of the things. And it's not, of course, it's not amongst everyone, but there are very loud groups that will shout everyone down who ask questions and call them all sorts of, names that may or may not be true. I mean, obviously, I don't know everybody that's asking questions or their intent behind it. And I understand that certain groups are exhausted and stuff like that. But I think that like the fact that we vilify critical thinking and question asking and desire to understand is more divisive than it is unifying. That's all.
Interesting, man. I guess if if they're gonna start wiping people out, I'm a questioner. I gotta watch my back.
Like I said, it depends on the group. That's all. I don't mean to. Didn't mean to get so grandstanding. I don't know how I started getting like this.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'm happy you felt comfortable enough to just let it out. We made it to the concluding portion of the podcast, but before we get to those questions, there's this new thing I'm trying to do with my guests. It's creating a mantra on the show. It's called the 34th mantra. But it's still corny, but I'll figure it out. The phrase is, I am, I can, I will. So I am blank, I can blank, I will blank. How would you fill that in for yourself?
So I am, I can, I will. I am enough. I can make my shit. I can shit. No. I can make I want to say I can make my dreams a reality, but that sounds real cheesy. But we'll just go with it. And I will take care of myself.
I am enough. I can make my dreams come true.
A reality, I was going to say. Feels slightly less cheesy that way.
And I will. It was I will.
Ooh, good question. I will take care of myself.
I got you. Hopefully one day you'll be needing to hear those words from yourself. You got this to play back, and it's in your own words.
This is such a sick concept. Oh, I love it so much.
Thank you. All right. Well, this first question in the concluding portion is a question from my previous guest. This is a way for me to connect my guests together,
Nice. I love it.
This one's from Lou. Sorry. Shout out to Lou for her question. And her question for you is, what do you want to accomplish? And if there's anything, what is preventing you from moving with that accomplishment? Like with the
moving
next
forward.
steps.
Yeah.
Next steps.
Got you.
I butchered it. Go for it though.
Sorry, Lou. So what I'd like to accomplish is probably, God, that's such a hard question. It doesn't sound hard. I would like to accomplish, I don't know, making my, I would like, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. I'd like to accomplish more listenership on my show. Yes, we'll go with that. That is a goal that does not feel like it's big enough for the context, but
no. If it's just perfectly realistic, Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say I'd like to have a family one day. That's something big.
I gotcha.
That's a lot bigger than listenership. Unspecified listenership.
Your podcast is your baby, right? In a way. Some people have pets, other people have podcasts. But
that's so funny.
Yeah, for sure.
And what's standing in my way is the universe. I mean, there's fuck all you can do about that. It's just kind of up to forces much bigger than myself. So,
especially when it comes to starting a family or like just finding a partner, right? Because it's two sides of the universe kind of having to conspire to make that relationship kind of happen. And I mean, I don't doubt. I think there's usually there's always going to be souls that vibe, souls that kind of like attract. So They're
Yeah,
out
I
there.
mean,
Yeah.
I think, I mean, obviously, I don't know, but I'm fairly certain that I've found like a person. Um, but, the rest is kind of, I don't know.
Universe.
Yeah,
I
like
got
it's
you.
going to do what it's going to do.
do what it do,
Yeah.
My next question for you is, what would you like to ask the next person that comes on to 34 questions?
Okay. So I got this. Okay, maybe just give me one quick second to think. Maybe I'll
Go
like
ahead,
hum or
ahead.
something.
I'm setting up right now.
If you could do one thing and you knew that the person that you did that thing for or to would continue to do that thing or for the next person, and then it would create a chain reaction, what is the thing that you would do?
So like a pay it forward kind of situation?
Well, maybe it's a shitty pay it forward. Like maybe you stab someone in the leg and they know that it's going to be a stabbing chain. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just like, what thing would you like to create a chain reaction of?
Nice. Like that. I mean, I'm curious if the next person comes here is like, yeah, I want to like play a prank on somebody and
and know that it'll get all the way around the world.
I don't know if you've seen it, but I've recently seen like remote control spiders and remote control snakes, and I'm like, yo, great pranks. Great pranks. Super messed up.
I'm not afraid of snakes or spiders, so like I am here for it.
Exactly, right? It's like, but you know someone who's afraid of snakes and spiders.
Oh,
and
for sure.
You can get them pretty bad with that. Next April Fools, sorry, I have to type this out. But as I type it out, I want you to think of the answer to this last question. And it's the question that ties everything together.
Ooh, yes.
500 years from now, descendants are watching this video. What would you like to tell them?
I hope you're well. I hope that we've gotten past some of the hang-ups we have with mental health and stuff like that, and I hope you're kind. That's all. I know it's super cheesy.
That's beautiful. You said that earlier, but I was gonna say, like, some people like cheese pizza. It's not bad at all.
It's kind of my whole thing. Like, it's really funny because I know a lot of people think that I'm like super fake, and I'm like, okay, that's fair. Like, I mean, I get that people don't like, people like actively try to avoid being too optimistic and stuff. And I just find it really interesting. So I always like try to disclaim, like, I know that I come across as a ridiculous, like, cartoon character of a human, and I'm okay with it.
I respect that. I aspire to do that. And I think you're doing it. And super happy that you were able to stop by the show and present your character, I enjoy those episodes the most. And yeah, like, since you told me you're a comedian, I've been trying to impress you with my jokes and everything. Which I know all my friends are out there is like, oh, I can't believe you said that, so cringy. But it's okay with me. Any last things you would like to add before we head out of here?
Well, first of all, before anything else, thanks so much. This has been a lot of fun for me as well. And if anybody is curious, my show is called The Conquest of Bliss. You can find it under that name wherever. But like I said, more importantly, like, this is such a dope project. And if someone's listening to this from my feed, because I'm gonna promote it, just like keep watching these. These are so lit. Okay, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words and for your time and openness to share your story. Thought this was a great conversation. Maybe do a round two sometime down the road if you're up to it. But yeah, That's another thing I like about podcasting is that the network, once you make that connection, it feels, like you really made a connection. It's not like, just a high and by type thing, especially, I guess for my show, like I really do enjoy getting to know folks and, building that network. Cause you never know what could happen. Like I'm a big dreamer, so
me too.
Yeah, I can't help it. And we never know what could happen down the line. But I don't know if I could repay the favor to you and do an episode for your content. I don't know if I fit for that, but because full disclosure, I haven't checked out. I'm sorry, but I will.
It's all good. It's all good.
Stuff too.
I actually was gonna say that, but I was like, oh, I don't want to put him on the spot, and like, what if he's not into it? And so I was actually going to say that, and then I didn't. So I'm glad that you did. Yes, I'm into that.
We could talk about it more later.
Okay.
Want to thank the folks out there for listening or checking it out on YouTube. Definitely appreciate your time as well. Remember to reach out, reach forward. As always, much love, and we'll catch you guys next time on 34 Questions. I had this habit of